Hey,
Good
hey, everyone
morning.
watching. How is everyone? How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm peachy.
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 Yes.
I thought,
Right.
after you and I were talking the other night and we were trying to come up with what we wanted to do for the next show,
Yeah.
I know we talked about kind of starting this off as like haunted hometowns, haunted states, that
Right.
whatever. And depending on how this one goes, maybe doing two states every so often per episode
Yeah.
at some point. So I live in Arkansas. I know I brought it up
You
before
do.
when we're talking about, you know, lots of things
Of
that are.
course. Lots of stuff.
But I don't live in the area where I was born and raised. I live about 3 hours northwest in the corner of the state, and it's almost a different state when you get to a certain point.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm in the Ozarks as opposed to the south.
Okay.
So you've got more mountains, a lot more trails and parks and granola
Pretty.
stuff. So
Nice.
that keep that in mind while I'm telling you about my Arkansas location.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite places, period. Um, I live close enough now to it. Wait, 30-minute drive, maybe 40 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, and it's all scenic, so it's great. But
Yeah.
it's the CRESCET Hotel in Eureka Springs. And there have been a handful of investigations on the level of like from televised shows that people know. The
Right.
most well known episode that this hotel's been on was on Ghost Hunters in one of the first couple of seasons.
Oh,
Back when they
cool.
were on Sci-Fi and they were the only ones really,
Yeah.
doing anything. And they came to visit and got some of the craziest evidence to this day that they've ever caught, in my opinion.
Cool.
It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. So this place opened up in the late 1800s, 1880s,
Mm.
and it was built because the town was seeing a lot of economic growth because the healing springs of the
Mm.
Ozarks. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was a very popular thing
businesses,
around that time.
yeah,
Wings and healing
businesses were
water.
moving out there. You were actually seeing a lot of mafia activity out there too,
Oh,
because it's
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can take tons of the old highways, run straight through that, like Arkansas 16 or 412 that goes east to west through Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Mhm.
Um, all of those will get you into Eureka Springs, and I know there was a lot of during Prohibition that route was traveled often for
Ah,
people running alcohol. But the hotel was built 1888, I believe it was finished,
okay.
and it is on top of a mountain within the city.
Ooh.
The city, like imagine a juicer. Like those old school juicers that have the
Yeah,
bowl
yeah,
with the
yeah.
cone.
Right.
Imagine that's the city. Like it's down
And
in
then there's
like,
a mountain in the middle?
and the hotel's on top of that mountain.
That's so cool.
It's very cool. Um,
I love that.
the thing that, well, I'll talk about how it was built in a moment, but um, the hotel was doing great. But as you got into the turn of the century, the the allure
Mhm.
kind of started to dwindle, and the hotel
Yeah.
was sold off. And up until I've got it written down here, I don't know the exact date. Until um, from 1908 to 1924 was when it was the Women's College and Conservatory. It's the hotel's 4 floors with a basement,
Okay.
and they have to this day they have like a ballroom when you walk in the front door. If you
Mhm.
keep going straight back, you go out to the porch whatever that overlooks going down into the mountains. Where there's like
Oh,
a pool and stuff.
um,
It's a little back deck of some kind.
I just can't think.
It's,
Courtyard.
yeah, where the pool and all that are, and then
Yes.
it's gorgeous. But if you don't go straight, if you go right, you head over to the conservatory ballroom, and that's like a dining room now. And then there's an observatory on the other side, and
Oh,
it's just
wow.
all windows, the walls. Like you have one of those
Sounds
2/3, like
gorgeous.
1/3 up walls that's just all windows.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. They have a stone fireplace right in the middle, and
Oh,
they have always had at least one cat on duty in that hotel. Morris was the name of the first one, and he looks just like George. I'll send you a picture of
he's a
Morris.
handsome boy.
Yeah. So
Aw.
anyway, you already know, like, okay, so this place is haunted, and it's like this is how it looks and what's in it. Like,
Right.
that's enough to want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1924, the women's college shut down,
Okay.
and the place sat better part of 15 years.
Ooh, yeah.
No one, just kind of abandoned. And then
it's so sad with those places.
Doctor,
Oh boy.
it was a con man,
Right.
bought the hotel and used it to peddle an elixir made from the healing springs that was supposed to cure cancer.
Oh God.
Yeah. So you know where this one's going.
It's like I could feel the heaviness before I was like,
yeah, he was. That's a different type of garbage, because what would happen? The bottom, like the basement, became the morgue.
Mm-hmm.
And he would push this cure and have people just spend life savings. He made $5 million in less than a decade in the early 20s.
Wow.
Just off the cure. But what would happen is a patient would pass away,
Mm-hmm.
and none of the other patients would know about it. And in the evenings,
that's what they were. Okay.
In the evenings, a nurse would come take the body down to the morgue.
And they would just be like, oh, they
They got better and left.
Fucking hell.
Mm-hmm. But he eventually got caught, not for that, for mail fraud.
It's always something different than with the actual crap.
Yeah.
Like, but at least he was caught for something.
Yeah. And then, you know, everything else fell into place from that point. But it sat dormant again for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was purchased up by investors here and there, and it's been restored. It still has everything as original as possible, but it's been restored and turned back into a hotel.
Oh, good.
So the original purpose for its building, you know, is back up and running. And think about the renovations and all the things that have gone through this hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The location, kind of secluded with tons of tonic springs flowing.
I was going to say, it's on a mountain. There's going to be all sorts of different minerals. And...
Yeah, guess what it's built out of?
Limestone.
Magnesium and limestone.
Of course. I was like, wait, which is the worst? Like, what's the all-time like known for holding energy?
You have a place
limestone
with tons of traumatic energy and deaths.
Yeah.
Built
corruption
encased in limestone, built over naturally occurring spring water.
Excellent.
It's a recipe.
Exactly. I was just going to say
that's almost the recipe.
Magic.
Like, you go back and watch Ghostbusters and learn about, oh, he built all this shit the right way over the I always say ley lines.
Ley lines, yeah.
Built out of this metal, precisely this, like, that's a
These
CRESCET hotel.
geometric patterns and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
So this hotel, the most popular ghost is a man named Michael. And the story behind Michael, he was a typical, like, redheaded Irish, first generation American who'd moved here and was a stonemason, helped with some of the building and finishing with everything.
Okay.
One day, the story is he was working on the
Wait,
on the
sorry.
roof.
With the building, with the original building, or like the more current renovations? Okay.
1800s, yeah.
Right.
He was doing some work on the roof, lost his balance, and fell to the second floor area because the floors have like little balconies on some rooms where you can go out.
Right.
Landed on one of those right outside of room 218, and he died. And 218 is the most famous, most active room in the hotel. Michael's seen there often in the halls and in that room, and there's tons of activity in that room.
Wow.
One of the other ones is a nurse, and she's in all white, and she is usually seen pushing a gurney late at night, like 11 p.m.
I was going to say, when you said nurse, I'm like, this was one of the nurses who was in on the not so good things.
Yep.
I mean, the whole staff would have been, but this nurse would have been in a bigger way than the rest of the staff.
She is complicit for sure. So, but she's seen late at night pushing a gurney, which I've never visually experienced anything there, but I've had some stuff for sure I can tell you about sometime. Another one that's pretty famous is, her name's Theodora, and she was literally will introduce herself to guests as a cancer patient, and the moment she's out of your direct vision, she's gone. Lots of housekeepers actually have experienced interactions with her more than any other spirit. And she's typically out on the fourth floor. I think it's room 419, 418, something like that. And of course, we're going to have Dr. Baker. He's got to be there. Oddly enough, in the lobby, when I'm telling you, when you walk in, I'll have pictures to throw into the show for sure when I'm explaining these things. But when you walk in, you'll see he had I don't remember if the desk was originally like a full circle or a horseshoe, but the majority of his desk is there in the lobby, and it's a small little hotel gift shop in the corner type of thing, where they have like t-shirts and key rings, and like I have a key ring and a whiskey glass from there, just because I love the place. But they have all that set up, and it's not too shocking that this guy is stuck there. He's usually seen in the old rec room in the basement, which is right next to the morgue. That's the most frequent they see him. Other times people will see him like he's wearing a purple shirt and a white light suit, like old fashioned, like linen, whatever. And he just looks confused and turns a corner and he's gone. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, if when we've talked about time and paranormal and all of that, like maybe he's everything, he's so confused about where he is, he's stuck, like, as a spirit, he's not evolving past the time when he ran the place. So everything looks so bizarre to him, and he's confused and walking around, and that might be like his penance, his curse, whatever, to be stuck.
I was just kind of thinking about that way too, is like, it felt when you said he was there, and it's like, of course he's there, but when you said he's like, he just seemed people who have reported seeing him feel like seems confused and out of it. I was thinking that sounds kind of like more of a punishment type thing.
Yeah. And there are also, I think there's I know there's a little boy. I don't remember. One of the coolest things I ever got was in their gift shop, you can get like blank greeting cards. And on these greeting cards, it's like a collective pack. And they had an artist come in and who like painted all of the ghosts. Like,
oh, wow.
Bust up portrait style.
Right.
Based on, user accounts and old photos and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's a blank card. It's that painting on the front of it. Nothing on the inside. On the back of the card, it tells you who the ghost is in the story.
Yeah.
And if they still got them, I'm going to send you a pack because they're pretty rad. Yeah, they're pretty rad.
Whoever came up with that, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I sent them all out as
Christmas cards. Of course, yeah.
Before I started doing the Krampus cards.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I did that. You knew before I finished.
I was like Christmas cards.
Like, why are you that guy at Christmas?
Because it's awesome. Oh,
so yeah, and there's tons of other places and stories and whatever about that place, about that city, and about our state. So I mean, we've talked about it on cryptids before. We've got the Fauci monster, the swamp Bigfoot. So there's tons of stuff here, but I know Wisconsin's pretty rich too. And actually, you've got some cool stuff we've talked about before.
Oh my God, yeah. Before we dive into that real quick, I just wanted to say that when you mentioned the ghost of the woman who just tells people she's a cancer patient, I'll just let folks know that I'm just going to use this show as kind of a test for some of the stuff that I have, and Keith, feel free to do so as well, because you have it too. The first thing that popped in my head with her was obviously that she just wants everyone to know what happened there. If the first thing she's doing is announcing that she's a cancer patient.
Yeah, I've gotten that feeling.
So anyone who watches who is good with your gut and your intuition, or has any sort of medium, we'll say, types.
Hell, if you've even been to the CRESCET.
Right, like, let us know if you got any vibes, or if you've been there and what you think and all of that stuff, because it's good to be able to ask fellow sensitive people if they got a certain feeling about something too. It's just a nice little check-in.
It's nice to be validated.
Yeah. It
helps you
sort your stuff, because sometimes it's
hard. Learn how to do it.
Yes.
It's like shooting layups.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to practice somehow so we can test ourselves this way.
I'm clearly not training with push-ups and shit, so.
Same. Fuck that.
I'm like a flying squirrel.
Dude, me too. We won't get started on that.
Flappers.
Come on, my little wings.
That guy's wearing a hang gliding suit. Nope. The wind's just really strong and he's a big fella.
Oh my God.
I ain't never seen a manatee fly before.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Wisconsin, speaking of funny accents, let's go from Southern to Wisconsin. I'm from the South.
Yeah, that's why when you said something, I was like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that is fair. Mine comes out sometimes.
Yes. Okay, so Wisconsin.
Hashtag Wisconsin.
Hashtag Wisconsin. My mind was kind of racing at different places to talk about potentially for this, but and I'm not even sure how this popped into my brain here recently, but Whitewater just popped in my head, and I'm kind of a sucker for that town. I went to college there. And I didn't know I knew some of this stuff when I went there. Cause like you'd hear some of the stories and shit, but it's like, oh, I wish I would have known more back then, or I've at least felt better enough to know more. That might sound weird. It was just I
That
was
makes sense.
too sick at the time to even really know what was going on around places. Like I'd have to find out stuff from friends. But like I had heard about these tours that they would have around Halloween about like the witches and stuff, and that was just kind of all I knew. That was in general. But yeah, Whitewater is known as the second Salem. From its history with witches, and I believe the feelings for all of that kind of started because of the Morris Pratt Institute that was built there back in 1889. It was a school for spiritualism. And I think it went till about 1924 until it was, I don't have all the details. It was like a woman's school for like teachers and stuff for a little bit. Before it switched to that, they changed something with their classes. I don't know. They changed their setup and everything. And now the school is in Milwaukee, but It started out in Whitewater.
Synchronicity right there between our two places. Both had school at some point in them.
Yeah, true. A lot of those the place you were talking about, those kinds of places usually end up as some sort of school for a little bit of time.
A stretch, yeah.
Yeah. And for those who aren't familiar with the spiritualism, it's based on the belief that the spirits of the dead exist and have the ability and the necessary means to communicate with the living. And apparently there was even designated rooms in the school built for doing seances and things like that, which is pretty rad.
That is cool.
Right? I didn't know that.
You had a Hogwarts, a real life Hogwarts in Wisconsin.
I was like, wait, what? 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 Huh?
You're like, yeah, we had a wizard school, but your spooky water sounds cool. Whatever.
Dude, no, don't even.
I know. I
know. Okay.
I feel like Andrew Garfield. Like, I've only fought a Russian guy in a rhinoceros
machine. I know, and I never went to space. God. Our Marvel geekery is showing. There's, of course, a lot of infamous witch kind of names out there from like Salem witch trials and everything. In terms of Whitewater, the one that is talked about a lot, her name was Mary Worth. She was a self-proclaimed witch who now there are a couple different stories I came across with her. And this is the problem with legends and all of those kinds of things.
You don't get the real solid fact.
Yeah. She's a bit of a mystery. I had read that she was a self-proclaimed witch, and she had some sort of beef with a well-off family in Whitewater, who the Winchesters, which I just think is funny because I'm a big supernatural geek, and chances are whoever's watching is as well.
Sam!
Bitch, jerk. And one of the stories is that she cursed this family and they died. And she admitted to doing this. a different story I had heard of the family was that the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Winchester, they had died fairly young, and I believe at least had 3 daughters. And there was some shit going on with the daughters, kind of fighting over the money, and that one of the daughters could have poisoned one of the other ones, or maybe the other 2, something weird like that. And she confessed to it before poisoning herself. Who knows? There's another tale that Mary Worth was this axe murderess. So there's that whole mystery. And as much as it's kind of frustrating for historians and stuff in Whitewater to really know her story, at least they know everything with the Institute was valid. Each year around Halloween, they do tours. It's called a spirit tour. And ever since they've run them, they've been sold out nearly every year since they've done them.
That's pretty rad.
And I guess there's a paranormal team or 2 from Wisconsin and Illinois that will help out with those tours sometimes, and maybe help out with doing short little investigations with tours and things like that. So if anyone's interested in checking out more of the history and lore and legend of Whitewater, look for around Halloween time in those tours. Like, I definitely plan on checking it out at some point. Like, I wish I would have back when I was going to school there, but
yeah, I would have probably spent way too much time.
Dude, I know, right?
Like, I really would have. It's especially when we were in high school, because that's when, like, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, that's when I would go to, like, I was getting into going to, like, the occult section in the bookstore when I would go there. And like, the Craft had just come out, so people were like, witchcraft is not that bad unless you're Nancy, like, everyone was. So there was kind of, I don't want to call it like an awakening of any kind, but there was definitely a bigger lens on witchcraft when we were in high school. Right. And that just would have been.
That film helped just open a door for a little bit of acceptance.
You go from Hocus Pocus to that.
Hearing people, like, they're different sides to the same coin. Little catch-22 action. But one of the most notorious sites in Whitewater as well is right on the campus. It's the Star and Park Historic Water Tower, aka the Witch's Tower.
Have you told me about this one?
I might have.
I don't know that I've heard about this one.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like an asshole if I have, but keep going. This is gonna.
I was like, we've talked on and off about how many different things. It's hard to keep track. But again, this is all kind of lore and legend or whatever. It's believed that practicing witches would go there. Full moons were mentioned. Not sure if that was brought up just because it's kind of a stereotypical type thing or what. But that they would go to this water tower and perform rituals and or sacrifices. Hooded figures would be seen there at night. Yada, yada, yada. The most interesting thing to me about the tower is there is a fence built around at the bottom of it. And it's locked up. The fence that was up before the current one. And the man who runs the spirit tours, this was a story that I read from him because he's part of the historical society and everything. The fence used to be a chain link fence with barbed wire on the top, but it kind of leaned inward, not outward. So like it looked like it was there to keep something in more than to keep people out.
Hmm.
Things that make you go,
And make it harder for you to sleep, because typically,
Yes.
I'm just going to be honest with you, I've never been like, ah, there's a haunting, get the barbed wire. It's like, so what the fuck is in there
Like,
if
yeah,
that's the case?
yeah.
Because that's not a spiritual thing at all.
There's something physical
That's some
there.
real life boo, like
Some sort
boo,
of
boo, boo, like
mm-hmm.
bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. The current one is more of a steel gate kind of fence that goes around.
Mhm.
And all along the top are those kind of like spike looking things, but they go straight up. But it's still kind of
Yeah, that's.
it's not just a plain chain link fence around it, you know?
And
There
I
are
don't think climbing the water tower in a small town is really that big of a concern for them to construct something like that.
right.
Does it happen? Yeah.
I mean,
Does it?
sometimes these things are built because of the stories and people trying to get at it too much. So to protect the
That's
place.
true too. Yeah.
But the original fence had
Yeah.
the barbed wire like toward point kind of angled in towards the tower and not out towards outside the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know I've never taken barbed
Fascinating.
wire to investigate.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So.
Yes. Yes. Um uh 3 other notorious places in Whitewater are 3 cemeteries that form an isosceles triangle. And apparently, and I should have checked in with some of my witch friends. I don't think this is really a thing, but I don't know. Where I had read, they said that triangles are a symbol that are known to be affiliated with witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. They
Which
incorporated it into the look at Harry Potter. Look at the Deathly Hallows symbol. Like they even
oh
incorporated it into
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, maybe triangles as parts of symbols, but I didn't think just the triangle on its own. But you think triangle, 3 sides, 3 has a lot to do with a lot of different kinds of beliefs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure what to think.
Yeah.
But they
I mean,
form
I
a
can't tell you
triangle.
the origin or anything. I know
Right.
I know it shows up, and I've seen it cross.
That's the other thing
Different.
that's hard is like timelines for beliefs of things and what shows up when and kind of all of that. But the triangle is known as a witch's triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And some believe that everything within that triangle is haunted. To kind of go off of that legend of Mary Worth cursing that Winchester family, some people also believe that that curse wasn't just for that family, but for the city in general. That's another what if.
That's a significant curse if that's
right. Yeah, someone was seriously pissed if that's the case. But who knows?
yeah,
The three cemeteries. Let's see. Okay, Mary Worth is okay. This one who is either a witch or an axe killing person is buried in a crypt at the the Hillside Cemetery, excuse me, which is adjacent to, from CRYPT Lake, which actually there's a legend. Actually, I'm not sure if it can really be considered a legend. Because this might have been, I don't know if this was 1970 or 1981. some students had claimed that they had seen hooded figures around the lake doing something, and it culminated in something large rising out of the water. Not sure.
We talked about like
totally normal.
You know, the whole fear of natural water.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that one in there with that too.
Yes. Yep, that's just more happy thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The other two cemeteries that complete the triangle are Calvary Cemetery on the north side of the UWW campus. And then the other one, the last, is Oak Grove Cemetery, which is near Washington Elementary School.
What?
For those of you who can't see my screen, Keith likes to add in little things in the notes to make me. I think he's testing to see if I'm going to giggle or not.
I didn't do a thing, ma'am.
Lies.
Wasn't me.
So if I randomly, as I'm talking, just that's because of that guy right there.
Nope, it's that.
Then it's Zoe.
Yep.
It's Zoe. All right. Well, that's pretty bad. Blaming her for it. She's an angel, aren't you, baby?
Hey.
She's an angel. I know she can't hear me with the earbuds, but it's okay. She can feel me.
Hey.
I love Zoe. Oh.
Anyway.
Our
sorry.
Little pup of the podcast. The podcast pup.
If I'm in here, she's in here. It's just.
Yep. She follows. You go.
Anyway, back to the third wit. It was Third Cemetery.
Oh yeah, the third one, Oak Grove, near Washington Elementary School. So those three form what is known as the Witches Triangle. Actually, of those three cemeteries, I've been to Hillside Cemetery, which I thought was stunning. I don't know why. It just felt that way.
Just a different energy and look and
yeah. The gates that you drive through just to enter the place, how the road kind of winds through the different crypts and everything, and it's kind of all on this hill. It's just, I don't know, very cool, interesting place.
Just a unique place.
Yes. Yeah. And let's see, what was one of the other things that I thought was interesting that I came across? Oh, the Witches Tower was built in 1889, and that was the same year that the Morris Pratt Institute was built.
Really?
That was interesting because they mentioned that water tower is still working, and it's one of the oldest working water towers in the state. I like the school being built.
There's a lot of that's what I was trying to.
It's kind of like it feels like there's something there. You don't know what, but it seems like there's
something.
Some sort of something or other.
Been the nerve for Indeed.
Indeed. The one building that I have actually investigated in Whitewater is the Masonic Lodge. And that place, at least for me, I can say I believe is quite haunted.
Was that where the ridiculously high number of EVPs showed up?
Yes. Yeah. Oh. I thought I was losing my mind. Yep. I didn't know if I was hearing things or if my head was messing with me. I had to double check with people and we had 56 EVPs in an hour. And I didn't even write everything down because in general, when you were listening, there was just this general chattering just in the background.
I know that
and
one.
Sometimes stuff would stand out, and that was what we had written down. Yeah, it was bananas. And so it was crazy that Tenny's kind of meet and greet thing was at the lodge, but then I wasn't that shocked because one of the members there is on a paranormal investigation team, and his team has investigated the lodge several times. And for anyone watching, if you'd ever be interested in checking the lodge out, just give the guys a call or stop by there someday, knock on the door, talk to them, because they are pretty cool about it. So, and the history is very interesting and things happen. I mean, the EVP stuff, that happened in the middle of the day. I know that's a whole controversial kind of thing, like have to investigate at night. This was during when Mike and I, for a different project, were just filming some kind of generic stuff. We just thought we'd set it up just to see what would happen. It was an experiment.
Oh yeah, and you just ended up like,
yeah, because Josh Kuchta suggested, he's like, you guys can try using a that ball, the energy.
Yeah.
My brain. Words.
The one where if you touch it and the
right. I don't have the word for it right now. But I only ordered like a small one. It was about like that off of Amazon. Plugged it into a power bank type thing, set the recorder. We had a camera on it for, I think it was a total of 1 hour and 45 minutes. Like the last 45 minutes I hadn't even listened to. In that first hour, there were 56, and so that's another fun experiment for you folks to try out there. If you ever want to try it, let me know what happened, because
keep me out of that devil stuff.
Because it's fascinating, and it's kind of goes along those same kind of principles as like the Tesla coil kind of thing. Well, everyone, that is our possible first episode or installation or whatever the fuck you want to say as to haunted locations in states. We'll see how this
potential maybe continuing theme.
Right. We'll see how this with people like this. If they don't like it, throw it right back.
But let us know.
Yes. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like what you see here, comments are very, very helpful, and we would greatly appreciate it. Any feedback at all. You want to tell us we smell? Fine. That's cool. Just feedback.
I don't wash below the hip.
Me either.
Hell yeah.
I don't know anyone who does.
It's a waste.
Frankly. It's a waste of water. Yeah, we're trying to save the planet, people.
Yeah. Unreal.
So, yeah.